Hey everybody, what is going on? Maxx here with another Master Duel video for you guys. So today we're going to be taking a look at some more Duelist Cup games, and for this round of games I decided to bring back a deck that I have not played in a little bit over a month now actually, either just on my own time or on the channel, and that is going to be Swordsoul Tenyi. And it's not that the deck is, you know, not good anymore, that's not why I've come back to it. It's, I think like a lot of us, I've just been a lot more interested in playing with the adventure, you know, archetype and all the decks that it's used in, as well as some of the other new stuff, especially because, you know, Swordsoul Tenyi, before the new, you know, adventure pack had come out, we had seen this deck so much in the meta. It had, whoops, sorry, I bumped the desk there. It had dominated the meta there for, you know, about a month and a half. I think actually, no, wasn't it like 2.5 months? I don't even remember anymore at this point. Enough time, this deck just kind of dominated the meta, and I think a lot of people kind of got like sick of seeing it around everywhere, so I think that's another reason why you tend not to see it a whole lot, or at least I don't see it a whole lot on like ladder or here in the Duelist Cup. But you know, if you're looking at tournament results, then you're definitely seeing a good amount of Swordsoul Tenyi, and for good reason. This deck is still quite powerful. It is definitely what I would call, it's kind of like, so I've been comparing this meta a lot to our initial meta in Master Duel, because I do feel they're quite similar in a lot of ways, particularly in how the decks kind of, not necessarily how they interact with each other in games, but how the meta is kind of defined. Because we have one clear deck that is tier 1 and the top, and that's going to be Adventure Prank Kids. Just like at the start of Master Duel in January, that format, you know, we had Tri-Brigade Zodiac as the clear top tier 1 deck. But even though there was one clear defined tier 1 deck, there was still a whole swath of tier 2 and 3 decks that were still very viable, and you could do pretty well with just about any of them. And we're definitely in a similar position here. Swordsoul Tenyi, though, I think is definitely like at the top of tier 2. I think it kind of, and I think this is true of the power ranking too, but in my personal opinion, it definitely borders very closely to tier 1. I don't think it's quite tier 1. I was going to compare it to Drytron, not in terms of like, you know, how it plays again, but in terms of its position in this meta relative to Drytron's position in the initial meta, where like Drytron was, you know, always at the top of tier 2 and occasionally did break into, you know, tier 1 and had even moments where it passed Tri-Brigade Zodiac. I wouldn't be surprised if, given that this meta plays out long enough, Swordsoul Tenyi might eventually at some point do the same, because this deck is still very consistent. It still puts out very good boards, and it's still pretty much able to do, it's funny, I saw comments, I don't remember if it was on some of my videos or like on the Discord or something, but it's like, I think it was on the subreddit actually, people were complaining that like Adventure Tenyi takes like twice as long to put out the same board that Swordsoul does. First of all, Adventure Tenyi's board is slightly better. The end board, you get Xiao Fang in addition to, you know, the Chi Xiao, the Baron, and the Protos there, which you don't really have the chance to do with Swordsoul Tenyi. I don't think so anyway. You'd have to play some, maybe if you played like Sacred Summit, you might be able to get away with that. I don't know. I couldn't tell you the combo you would do that with off the top of my head, but in any case, my main point is just that Swordsoul Tenyi, still a very, very good deck. And I'm not saying it's being slept on. I think people are just aware that it's a good deck. They're just still wanting to try new stuff, or maybe still feeling a bit of fatigue from the last time Swordsoul Tenyi was dominant. So I did rebuild the deck. As you can see, I don't know why this is like the one deck I actually like number my iterations, but last was like 2.2, I think, and so I just bumped it up to 3.0 because I totally just rebuilt it from the ground up because we're in a completely new format, obviously. My last build was, I think, 41 cards. I'm down to 40 in this one. Another card that we're playing that we weren't last time was Harpie's Feather Duster. In the Swordsoul Tenyi format, is just what I'm going to refer to like that period of time when that deck was dominant rather. We weren't really playing Harpie's Feather Duster at all because there really wasn't the need to. There was like, I mean, Eldritch was around, and it was getting to a point towards the end there where there was enough Eldritch where it was like kind of getting to the point of like, okay, we should probably just be playing Harpie's Feather Duster, but it never quite, for me anyway, reached that point where I felt the absolute need to during that format. Now for this format, it's funny because we're not seeing as many back row heavy decks in terms of like the, you know, number of decks that are playing a bunch of back rows, but at least in my experience in the Duelist Cup, I've run into enough Eldritch where I was like, you know, since I'm playing this deck specifically for the Duelist Cup and I've seen enough Eldritch there, I'm just gonna play the Harpie's Feather Duster. It just seemed like a good call, and I haven't actually drawn it, I don't think, now that I think about it. I'm pretty sure I did get matched up against at least one Eldritch, but I'm pretty sure I have not drawn the Feather Duster, which, I mean, you know, whatever, so it goes. It's just nice to have the option there. Yeah, I mean, the rest of the build is, like, fairly standard, right? This is just kind of how I tend to build my decks in general. I've talked about this, too. I don't usually like to go for, like, I guess, I don't know, the tech isn't too out there. I'm thinking of, like, Heavenly Dragon Circle, right? I'm thinking of the level 4 Tenyi, is it Shathana? I think it's called, the water one. Definitely good options for this deck, but as always, especially for a format kind of like Duelist Cup, where it's kind of like when you're climbing an upper like diamond, right, where it's like getting ultra competitive. I really like to keep my deck count low and keep the number of disruption I'm playing relatively high. You know, the 3C, the 3 Ash, and Nibiru, the Imperms as well, because I think over the course of the long term, that's going to benefit me more. Kind of same with playing the Feather Duster. Like yes, those tech choices do allow you to further your plays, but I think overall in the long term, having that disruption and being able to get it consistently is important as well. I'm not saying those cards are bad by any means. I'm not saying it's not worth it to go above 40 cards for those cards either. But that's just personally how I like to build my decks. So, yeah, those of you familiar with Swordsoul Tenyi, I mean, it's hasn't really changed much in terms of how it plays. It's still fine, you know, against, even though, like, it's funny, you know, the adventure meta really shook up how not only the decks that play with it, but also the decks that play against it. But Swordsoul Tenyi, and one of the reasons it's still so good, is that it was relatively unfazed. The deck is still, again, very consistent, able to play through disruption with relative ease, and is generally just still puts out very powerful end boards. So that's about all I've got to really say about it. There's not much else you can say about it. Well, if I can talk today. All right, let's go ahead and break down the deck card by card here, and then we'll take a look at some games. So we're playing 1 Deskbot 001, 3 Tenyi Spirit Adhara, 3 Maxx, 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 3 Swordsoul of Mo Ye, 2 Swordsoul of Taia, 2 Incredible Ecclesia, the Virtuous, 3 Swordsoul Strategist Longyuan, 2 Tenyi Spirit Vishuda, 3 Tenyi Spirit Ashuna, 1 Nibiru the Primal Being, 1 Archnemesis Protos, 1 Harpie's Feather Duster, 2 Vessel for the Dragon Cycle, 3 Swordsoul Emergence, 2 Call by the Grave, 2 Crossout Designator, 2 Infinite Impermanence, and 1 Swordsoul Blackout. Extra deck is going to have 1 Yazi, Evil of the Yang Zing, 2 Baxia, Brightness of the Yang Zing, 1 Borreload, Savage Dragon, 1 Draco, Berserker of the Tenyi, 2 Swordsoul Grandmaster Chi Xiao, 1 Chao Fang, Phantom of the Yang Zing, 1 Baronne de Fluer, 1 Swordsoul Supreme Sovereign Cheng Ying, 2 Monk of the Tenyi, 1 Crystron Halqifibrax, 1 Shaman of the Tenyi, and then finally 1 Mecha Beast Auroradon. Alright, so that's the build there. Let's go ahead and take a look at some games. Alright, so I'm actually super excited to show this first game because this is going to be against Adhara, and I've talked about this in recent videos where I've showed games against it. There's something about Adhara. It's definitely going to be one of the next decks I try, I think, because I have a respect for this deck. I don't know. I think its combos are fascinating. I think the Arrival Cyber's Adhara is a really, really cool card, and playing against it this time too, it did an insane combo line I didn't even know the deck could do. I feel like every time I play against this deck, it like does something new here. So I do have the Ash Blossom. Now I want to talk about this for a second because I do have the Ash Blossom, but I don't use it when my opponent normal summons the Picari. And the reason I didn't do that is because normally, from what I've observed playing against Adhara, when they normal summon the Picari, they're either going to add the AI Met You or the AI Idol Reborn. And then they link into the Dark Infant, and that adds the AI land. And I've always thought, you know, there have to be more scenarios where it's just right to add the AI land with Picari, because then that totally plays around the Ash. And that's actually exactly what my opponent did here. By adding the AI land with the Picari, well, because, you know, they figured if I had an Ash, I wouldn't respond to the Picari because I'm waiting to hit the Dark Infant, because this is normally the choke point you want to hit to make sure they don't get the AI land. But if that resolves the Picari and then they add AI land, well, then now I'm in a really awkward position because I can't use Ash. Obviously, it doesn't do anything to use it on the Dark Infant, and now they probably already have enough ammo to combo off, and they just completely shut down my Ash there. So I've thought about this when I've played against Adhara before. It's interesting to see an opponent actually follow through with that. Again, I haven't played the deck yet myself, so I know that AI Met You and AI Idol Reborn are very important cards. I know AI Idol Reborn can be used to play around Nibiru very well, and then AI Met You is just a good like extender in general, but I just wonder how often it's like necessary to use it. So anyway, I end up using the Ash on the Achichi, just to, you know, on the off chance that that's the last Adhara monster in their hand. But of course it's not, it never would be. So yeah, they're going to use the AI land to drop the Picari and then start to combo off here, adding the Baruru, which is the wind tuner one, I believe. Yeah, like I said, I have to, oh yeah, so this is where they start doing like diverse stuff, right? I've never seen them actually go into like the cyber's ritual stuff, so that's a really cool line I wanted to show off here that they do. Yeah, no, I was gonna say, like I said, I have a very much have a respect for this deck. I don't know, there's no other word to really describe it than respect. I think the combos are cool. I think it's, again, I just think the Arrival Cybers at Ignister is just thematically I really should watch Vrains, honestly. Or at the very least watch that duel between Playmaker and AI. I really love the Yu-Gi-Oh! Animes, but I watched the first like maybe 3 episodes of Vrains subbed, and then I didn't continue because I really just wasn't vibing with Master Rule 4 at all. It's one of the main reasons I got out of the game when I did. But you know, I really want to watch it. I mean, I have a t-shirt actually that has access code and Arrival Cybers fighting each other, so it's like I feel like I should watch that duel if I'm gonna wear the shirt, you know. It's like that meme, what is it, where like it's what is it, whatever, you wear the band tee but you don't listen to the band. I feel like that sometimes when I wear my access code and Arrival Cybers shirt. But anyway, yeah, so it's funny, I thought they were gonna go for the 6 material Arrival Cybers here, but the opponent actually does end up going into like a definitely much a varied play that I've not seen Adhara do. I don't know how common this variant is, but they're going to actually end up going into a dark fluid. What is it? A dark fluid something dragon. Is it just Firewall? I think it's dark fluid Firewall or something like that. But it's like going to have multiple monster effect negates based on how many counters it has. And it's a really scary card. Definitely made playing through this board not the easiest in the world, but yeah, like I said too, I've never seen them do the ritual line, so this is just, I don't know, this is just fascinating to watch, honestly. It's really one of those games where like, I'm not even mad that I'm getting comboed on. Yeah, here it is, the Firewall. Okay, it's Firewall Dragon Dark Fluid. I thought it was something like that. So yeah, it gets the 3 counters, and then oh, that's the other thing too. This effect is so ridiculous. So it's 3 counters to negate monster effects, and then it's not once per turn. So they just have like 3 monster effects on this thing. So that's really, or monster effect negations rather, on that thing. So it's like, yeah, that's cool. And then they're also going to throw down at Arrival Cybers. But here's the thing, because they did this line where they went into the Dark Fluid, they're not going to be able to make a 6 material Arrival Cybers. It's a 3 material. Even 4 actually would have been, you know, pretty much game over for me at this point. But because it's a 3 material, and I've got the Protos in hand, I've actually, sorry, I just saw like an audio wave. I'm gonna probably have to edit. I don't know, whatever. That's me thinking about editing stuff. Anyway, so yeah, if they'd made like even a 4 material Arrival Cybers, it would have just been over for me. But because I have the Protos, I'm actually in a scenario where I think I can maybe potentially hold off and somehow turn this game around. Well, the thing is, I think we saw in a viewer special once a game where someone who was playing Swordsoul Tenyi got a 6 material Arrival Cybers dropped on them, and they were still able to win through just like Longyuan burn. And I was actually thinking about that when I was getting comboed on. I was like, you know, I'm definitely not going to concede, because I've watched yet another reason why I love the viewer special. I was like, oh, I've watched somebody play through a board like that. So yeah, they are going to have the Imperm, which, I mean, isn't going to do a whole lot, but it is going to mean that you have 1 more counter on this Dark Fluid, so that's pretty annoying. But yeah, again, the Protos is just what's keeping me alive at this point against my opponent's board. Although as soon as they negate the Protos and add this fusion, I'm like, you know, I don't know specifically what they're going for, but I have a feeling this Protos is not going to protect me for too much longer. So interestingly enough, they link away the Arrival Cybers to get a Splash Mage. I mean, it's not like they can bring it back. Arrival Cybers' attack definitely depends on its stats. So yeah, as they're doing this here, I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, they're making the access code, and then I realize, like, wait, link 5. Okay, so it's 7,300. And I thought for sure my opponent was going to have another 700 points of damage, but they actually don't. Spoiler alert, I guess. But so they're going to, you know, make this access code and not have an out. So I'm just like, or not have a follow-up, rather, to kill me this turn. So I'm looking at this Longyuan, and I'm like, if I draw any Swordsoul or Worm, I'm good. I can make a Baron, pop it, have an Omni Negate, and it's a Baxia. So, if we had just topped again any Swordsoul or Worm card, we could have made the Baron, summoned it, popped the access code. My opponent's only got 3 cards left in their extra deck. They don't have a lot of ammo left at this point, unless maybe Archnemesis in general or this variant has a means of refueling that I'm just not familiar with. But yeah, so very, very good game, Haru. Like I said, I really like Archnemesis as a deck, and this particular line that you shut off was just so cool that I had to show it. So all right, let's go ahead and go into the next game. All right, so I remembered that first game, obviously, because of how much it stuck out. This game, I don't... Again, with this Duelist Cup, you can't confirm your opponent's deck, which I guess kind of makes sense now that I think about it, that you would do that for an event like this, but it does make this a little bit inconvenient, as I don't always remember off the top of my head what I played against. Looks like I'm taking the first... Oh, this is against Numeron, yeah. So, because they let me go first, and obviously I don't really have a play here, so I didn't play monsters anyway, but given that they let me go first, I was like, okay, it's got to just be Numeron, right? So, they discarded the Gamma Seal, and I'm thinking, okay, it might actually be danger, like Kaiju stuff, but drawing a Maxx definitely does not progress this board state or my hand any further, so just gonna have to pass again. And it's seeming increasingly likely that it's Numeron based on the fact that they're just not doing anything at all. I feel like even Danger Kaiju Lunalight would have like something to do during my turn, but or during their turn rather, even if I don't have anything on board. So they've got the Maxx, I've got the Call By, but I suspect they're probably gonna have another out here just based on the fact that well, 1, it's a going second deck, and 2, they haven't been playing like anything at all. Like even that Desires, they end up discarding, what was it, the Gamma Seal. So it's like they have to have a lot of hand traps. So there's no way they don't. I could especially Adhara go for the Monk here to try to get this Vessel live. They do have the Ash though. I kind of figured again that was going to happen, but I still thought it was better than just trying to hedge and go for Baron. Like, yeah, we missed out on the Baron here, but the high roll is so high if that Vessel actually resolves that I just wanted to make sure that we were actually getting the optimal play end, I guess, so to speak. So, you know, even worst case scenario, well, I mean, I guess worst case scenario, we get Kaiju. I was going to say worst case scenario, my opponent, if they Numeron me, can't actually kill me. I'm pretty sure through a Monk of the Tenyi, right? Isn't that 6,000 damage? 1 to 1, 2, 2... 1, 4. Nope, that's still an OTK. Never mind. I'm not the best at math. I can't lie to you, but fortunately they don't have the Numeron network here. They just have 2 Kaijus. So it just seems like they opened a really Kaiju heavy hand. You know, the Planet Pathfinder obviously is going to confirm here that it is in fact a Numeron that we're playing against, but yeah, it's funny because so they activated this network and then there was like a 20 to 30 second pause before they went to battle phase. Maybe my opponent's just using this for the event. I guess they didn't know that you can't Numeron network if you know, you have monsters, but I guess, you know, whatever. Maybe, I guess I'm assuming there as well. I don't know. I don't really I try not to like trash talk my opponents too much, like, because 1, it's just not a cool thing to do in general. Just like talk about somebody that can't defend themselves, and 2, there's always that bit of like somebody could be watching my videos and hear me say something a little bit mean and go like, "Aw," so you know, I don't want to do that to people. But in any case, here, I'm just gonna summon the Deskbot at this point. I don't need to go for a Hulk combo. I know I can go for a game based on what I've got here. I'm gonna use this Baxia. I really should have put the Kaiju back, honestly, because I am going for a game this turn. But I decided to put the Numeron network back. It was a bit of a hedge, just in case my opponent had something to stop me. I wanted to make sure that, because they didn't have the Numeron network until they clearly top decked the Planet Pathfinder, so I figured they didn't have access to another one in hand. So again, it's a bit of a hedge. Instead of removing the Kaiju, I removed the network in order to make sure they didn't have a follow-up play if they were able to stop me. And in retrospect, I should have just removed the Kaiju, but I'm pretty sure we're going to be able to find lethal anyway, so it's not going to really end up mattering too much here. Yeah, because I've got the Vishuda in my graveyard I don't think I've used, so if my opponent didn't concede here, which I'm pretty sure they do. Oh, no, I can just battle, right, because of the attack difference from the Chengying, so yeah, then the opponent concedes. I thought they conceded, I didn't finish them off, but either way, that is going to be a win for us, and yeah. Alright, let's go ahead and move on to the next one. I always... Okay, I gotta stop saying... I said in the last video that I wasn't gonna say every game that's annoying you can't see their deck, but now I'm just doing it this video too. I'll actually try to stop, but I'm sure I'm not even annoying anybody, just myself. We're going to go second here. Oh yeah, I think this is the first time I actually see the Trishula mate. It's alright. I mean, the model itself doesn't look super great. The animations are a little better than I was expecting, though. I think it's an upper B, honestly. I don't know about upper B, maybe a mid B. This sounds a little weird, but I don't know, whatever. I think it's fine overall. Anyway, yeah, they're going to start with an adventure line. I've got the C, but they've got the Ash, so, you know, whatever it is, what it is. We have an Imperm as well, though, so we can just negate the Griffin Rider on our turn to still go through our plays there. There's obviously always still the chance that our opponent will be able to have other plays on top of that. Like, it's really easy. Like, yeah, they only have 2 cards in hand, but it's still really easy for them to just normal summon a Prank Kid, but they actually don't. They just set a card, so that's definitely something we like to see here. And like I mentioned, we can just, you know, start with the Imperm on the Griffin Rider. It's another reason why Imperm is actually really good right now. I mean, Imperm's been good, obviously, you know, the whole time. The whole time. But, you know, it's obvious, it's still really, really good, even in a format like this. It might be easy to think, like, oh, with so many Omni Negates as a card like Imperm. But, yeah, no, Imperm is definitely good against those Omni Negates, either by stopping them or forcing them, so. Oh, yeah, here, our Mo Ye got negated, but that's fine. We can just Longyuan, and then with a token out, we can even follow up with the Vessel. That's going to allow us to have further plays here. I'll use the Vessel, or the Vishuda rather, to bounce this token. That's going to not only get rid of the token, but obviously the Draco back, so kind of like a little 2-for-1 there. And I'm not going to go for anything but worms anyway, so definitely just going to use this Ashuna now, while I've got the, or the Adhara. Oh, no, yeah, the Ashuna now while I have the token on the board. Yeah, I said that right, so. I'm going to use the Zing as well to put back the Griffin Rider here. I maybe should have just put back the Fateful Adventure instead, but I also was kind of thinking that I might be able to go for game here by using the Baxia to bring back Taia. And the opponent concedes at this point. I don't think I actually had a way to get lethal here. I'm still trying to figure that out, actually. I don't think I had any links in great. I mean, if I did, it would have just been Monk. I'm just thinking Borreload would have been 35. No, yeah, Chengying would have been 29. That's definitely not lethal. I don't think I actually had lethal here. I mean, my opponent probably wouldn't have won anyway because they just had no resources left, and I could have easily gotten rid of that Fateful Adventure with some amount of, you know, cards that I go into. But, yeah, again, I don't think I had lethal, but whatever. All right, let's go ahead and go into the next one. All right, jumping straight into the next game here. Yeah, I've been really having a lot of fun playing Swordsoul Tenyi again. I definitely forgot like how much I do like this deck. It's I think it's gonna be one of my mainstays still in this format. I'll probably keep coming back to it definitely more frequently than I have in the last month, which has been not at all. So opponent's gonna have a Maxi here in response to the Ashuna, and I don't have a response for it. It's a little bit annoying when that happens, but this is actually not a bad hand for that to happen too, because I can just set the Blackout and pass and not give my opponent any extra cards. Still have a solid amount of defense on the board with Ashuna, and then have the option of Blackout as well. And we're actually playing against a Pendulum deck, which is pretty lucky for us because, well, rather it's pretty lucky that we got this opening setup against a Pendulum deck because obviously the Blackout can be used to pop a set of scales, and usually if you can get rid of your opponent's first set of scales, then you've disrupted them enough. This is just my experience with Pendulum decks. If you can disrupt their first set of scales, they probably don't have much after that. I guess it kind of depends on the deck as well. But especially like Pendulum Magicians, that just generally seems to be my experience with them, playing against them. I think I've actually yet to play a Pendulum deck at all in Master Duel. Because I remember looking at my data relatively recently and just casually glancing at number of summons, and Pendulum was 0. I'm pretty sure I've still never Pendulum summoned in Master Duel. Pendulum summoning would definitely... Well, no, IRL Link summoning. Have I not played in a game of Yu-Gi-Oh! IRL since Links came out? I don't think I have, actually. I think it's all been Master Duel, but whatever. In any case, so, yeah, we're going to use the Monk, go for the Vessel here. That's going to be a Halq line. Oh, but then we, that's right, we have already used the Adhara effect, if I recall correctly here. So, yeah, we still, that's right, because we still saved the normal summon for the Taia there. So we're still able to go into the Chi Shao. I think we actually still find lethal here, because we haven't used Ashuna yet, question mark? No, yeah, we haven't used Ashuna yet, so we can still go for Baron. Pop this Dark Worm, and then just, yeah, and then just go for lethal. So, opponent realizes that and concedes. And yeah, that's what we like to see. Let's go and take a look at the next game. Okay, so I'm actually trying to remember if this replay is actually Swordsoul Tenyi or if it's the next deck. Well, I guess if it's the next deck I'm showing, I'll just cut this out. No, okay, it's Swordsoul Tenyi, so I'm leaving this in. Alright, we're going first here. I got a really solid opening hand. Actually, this is like a... Okay, so this hand was kind of interesting. I did think about going for, like, leading with the Baron. Well, obviously I would have special Vishuda first, just to make sure I got on the board. But then I thought about making Baron, but it would have required me sending the Blackout with the Longyuan, and the Blackout is so good. I just found myself not being able to do it. I was like, you know what, if they have a response to the Halq, then... whatever, we can still make plays. It's not going to be that big of a deal. And the Blackout is just so good that, again, I found myself unable to part with it, so to speak. So, gonna go for a Halq Auroradon line here. This is obviously, it's not anything that's new to anybody, but definitely going to be different from Adventure Tenyis, which is what we've been using before, obviously, because we're using Deskbot 001, and we're not running O-Lion. We're going to have to pop our Yazi with the Auroradon's effect. Opponent does have a Nibiru, but we fortunately opened with the Crossout Designator, so we just take care of that with no problem. One of many reasons I like running Nibiru in just about every deck is because I've been running Crossout Designator in just about every deck as well, and yeah, you definitely got to have the out to the Nibiru. I mean, Crossout Designator is just about the only out you have to Nibiru, so it's one of the most important, it's one of the reasons why it's important to have it, I think. Opponent's going to have the Ash Blossom here, which is definitely a little bit awkward. That means I can't drop my Taia and continue my combo, so it's, well, it's more than a little bit awkward. It's definitely a lot of it awkward, but we definitely still have plays here. I'm going to Ashuna for an Adhara. I could have gone Vishuda for more defense, but I thought if the Adhara lives into the next turn, it offers a little bit more variety in terms of what plays I can do, so... since we went for Ashuna, we can't go for Baron, we can still go for Chengyang, which with the Blackout is still going to be just fine. Again, if I had made the Baron, then... I'm trying to think, actually... Well, yeah, no, I could have just either... Because it's Ash and Nibiru, so I could have crossed out at either. So I could have negated both those if I had led with Baron, but... again, I just thought overall, I didn't want to hedge that way. I'd rather keep the Blackout, so... I am going to Blackout here in response to the Longyuan coming down, but the opponent has a Crossout Designator, and it is the mirror match, or at least, I guess it could still be Adventure Tenyi, maybe? It could still be Adventure Tenyi in theory, playing the Blackout there, but in any case, because they banish with the Crossout Designator, I actually still get the Chengyang's effect, which means I can banish the Longyuan on board and the Taia engrave. I thought about banishing the Swordsoul token and leaving the Longyuan, but there's like pros and cons to both, but I generally think that it's better to leave the Swordsoul token, because if they have 10E cards with the Longyuan, I'm trying to remember if they normal summoned, actually. I should have been paying more attention. There's still a world where they can like summon an Adhara and sync for a Yazi, I guess, but if they have the Swordsoul token out, like, yeah, they can special / activate 10E stuff, but they can't actually make... Like, they can't really do anything because they can only synchro summon. And I guess if they're playing Shithana, like, if they're specifically playing Shithana, then it's not right to leave the Swordsoul token. But from what I remember last time I looked at the deck breakdown, which was just earlier today, I think 26% of decks are playing Shithana, so I'm fine hedging in that regard. And it turns out the opponent didn't have a follow-up line either. Because I find hedging in that regard because it not only requires them being one of the 26% that's playing Shithana, but they also have it in their hand and or access to it, so... yeah, I think that was, I think we have one more game left. Yeah, yes, we do. Let's go ahead and go straight into it. Yep. So we do have one more game here to take a look at with Swordsoul Tenyi. Yeah, like I said, I'm just having a ton of fun playing this deck, and I definitely see myself bringing it back into the main rotation there, so to speak. All right, this is another fantastic opening hand. The only thing it's really missing is a call by or a crossout, but we also just have enough action with this hand that even if we get stopped, that's actually going to be why I show this game. I remember this game now, because we actually do get stopped multiple times and we're still able to make plays. So I'm going to lead with the Halq line, or going into the Halq line, because it doesn't require the commitment of a normal summon here. I could have, again, this is another hand where I could have led with Baron, but I figured I've got so much action in my hand that, again, even if I get negated, I can still... keep going. So they do have the effect failure for the Halq, but it's not going to be that big of a deal because the Halq Auroradon line just goes for most of what we can get with this hand anyway, so yeah, I'm just going to use my normal summon for the Mo Ye, reveal the Longyuan, and the opponent actually does have the Imperm in addition to the Valor, so definitely a little bit unlucky, well, more than a little bit unlucky that they had both, but we do still have action with this hand. We can discard the Blackout with Longyuan and special that as well as the token. I'm not going to go for the 10, I'll go for the 8 to get the draw and the search here with the Mo Ye and the Chi Xiao. And we can also go for the Emergence with the Chi Xiao and make a Protos as well, so in addition to the draw. So yeah, that's just like, I mean, this is what I was talking about earlier in the profile, right? Like, this is one of the big strengths of Swordsoul Tenyi. You see my opponent had 2 negates there, a Valor and an Imperm, and like, we still have like a very solid board to end on. Not even just like, I mean, yeah, this is a compromised board, but like a compromised board that consists of a Chi Xiao and a Protos is still a really fucking good board, not gonna lie. And yeah, the opponent summons the Kiss a Keel. I guess forgot that Leela is dark and then concedes. Of course, we called it dark with Protos, so the opponent is not going to be able to do any of their plays during their turn. So, alright, now that's all the games we've got. Let's go ahead and go now to the outro. Okay, so that's going to do it for this video. As always, I thank you very much for watching all the way to the very end like this. That does mean a lot to me, not only personally, but as a means of supporting the channel. Also very appreciative to those of you who are both commenting and or subscribing. I guess you don't have to be doing both. I'm appreciative either way. Well, I just really am, honestly, just the fact that people are watching in general. I will always appreciate that of you all. But I like to say to the end, because of course you guys are the only ones who are going to hear that. So, yeah, no, like I've been saying, deck is fun, like it. Gonna keep playing it. I just like, I don't know, I feel like I'm on repeat a little bit with that, but it's just because I'm having a lot of fun with the deck. Definitely let me know what you think about the build. If there's any tech that you think is particularly good against this particular meta that might be overlooking, I would definitely be interested to hear it. And maybe even try it out in the future. So that's about all I've got for this one. Yeah, so without further ado, this is XLex. I'm signing out, and I hope you guys have a fantastic day.